What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back for another week breaking down the top plays in the NFL's Week 10, according to Awesemo'S NFL rankings. Week 10 is shaping up to be an interesting one with a lot of guys in smash spots and some of the highest team totals we've seen so far this year. So let's get some positive energy in the air, and right now, please hit that like button. And if you want to win a free month of Awesemo', like the video and comment your guy you think is going to get 2 touchdowns in Week 10. It could be any running back, any wide receiver, or tight end. But like the video and comment your 2 touchdown boy down below, and I'll announce the winner of last week's video a little bit later on. As always, Awesemo'S NFL rankings are created with love by the top DFS player in the world to be a mix of points and value relative to the salaries on all the DFS sites. So let's get to it, starting with the quarterbacks and Lamar Jackson in a matchup at Cincinnati, which there are 27.5 implied points for Baltimore. Lamar gets an A in points and an A in value on Draftkings, Fanduel, and Fantasy Draft, while he gets an A in points and a B in value on Yahoo. Lamar annihilated Cincinnati in Week 6 with 152 rushing yards and 236 passing yards, and he could beat them however he chooses on the ground or through the air with the 436 yards per game that they allow. Next up, we've got Drew Brees in a matchup versus Atlanta, in which there's a very high 32.5 implied points for New Orleans. Brees also gets an A in points and an A in value on Draftkings, Fanduel, and Fantasy Draft, while he gets that same A in points and B in value on Yahoo. It's one of the highest point totals of the year for Brees in New Orleans against a 70% completion rate and 7.6% passing TD rate that Atlanta allows, with a chance of more scoring thanks to Matt Ryan's return on the other side for Atlanta. And a guy we know the risks of, but he's not as chalky as he probably should be, Jameis Winston in a matchup versus Arizona, in which there are 28.3 implied points for Tampa Bay. Jameis is impossible to trust as chalk with a high 4% interception rate and a low 59% completion rate, but Arizona allows a 72% completion rate and a 7.4% passing TD rate, with Mike Evans on the heater of all heaters, and big spots for Chris Godwin and OJ Howard too. And now onto the top running back plays in Week 10 according to Awesemo'S NFL rankings, starting with Nick Chubb in a matchup versus Buffalo, in which there are 21 implied points for Cleveland. Chubb gets a B in points and a B in value on Draftkings, Fanduel, Yahoo, and Fantasy Draft. Kareem Hunt's status is a slight risk, but Chubb averages 100 yards per game. He excels in every matchup, while Buffalo's run defense has regressed in recent weeks, up to 4.4 yards per rush allowed, with a 68 run defense grade from PFF. And you might have to pay up for this guy again, Christian McCaffrey in a matchup at Green Bay, in which there are 20.5 implied points for Carolina. McCaffrey gets an A in points and a B in value on Fanduel and Fantasy Draft, an A in points and a C in value on Draftkings, and an A in points and a D in value on Yahoo. McCaffrey is expensive, but his 26 touches per game are rock solid, and he faces a plus matchup versus Green Bay, with the 4.7 yards per rush they allow, with a bad 63 run defense grade from PFF. And this running back looks chalky, but he should be worth it. Alvin Kamara in a match versus Atlanta, in which there are again 32.5 implied points for New Orleans. Kamara in his return could cede a few touches to the hot Latavius Murray, and while Atlanta's run defense is solid with a 77 grade from PFF, with 3.7 yards per rush allowed, Kamara has a lot of ways to beat them and excel with this high total. And now onto the top wide receivers for the NFL's Week 10 according to Awesemo'S NFL rankings, starting with Michael Thomas in that match versus Atlanta, in which there are, you guessed it, 32.5 implied points for New Orleans. Thomas gets an A in points and an A in value on Draftkings and Fantasy Draft, an A in points and a B in value on Fanduel, and an A in points and a D in value on Yahoo. Thomas has 11.1 targets per game, and he projects as a top wide receiver value despite his high price, going against an Atlanta secondary who gives up 8.4 yards per pass, with a hideous 36 coverage grade from PFF. And we have another highly targeted guy with Cooper Kupp in that matchup at Pittsburgh, in which there are 23.5 implied points for the Rams. Kupp gets an A in points and a B in value on Draftkings and Fantasy Draft, an A in points and a C in value on Fanduel, and an A in points and a D in value on Yahoo. Pittsburgh's big 30% pressure rate will make Jared Goff miserable, but that and Brandon Cooks' absence could result in even more reliance on Kupp, with his 10.9 targets per game. And this is a guy I simply believe you can't fade the heater that he's on, Mike Evans in that matchup versus Arizona, in which there are 28.3 implied points for Tampa Bay. Evans has 39 and 46 fantasy points in his last 2 games, and with Patrick Peterson completely emasculated by Emmanuel Sanders at home last week, Evans may feast against him or whatever they throw at him. And let's close it out with the top tight ends and defenses according to Awesemo'S NFL rankings, starting with Travis Kelce in a matchup at Tennessee, in which there are 27.8 implied points for Kansas City. Kelce gets an A in points and a B in value on Draftkings, Fanduel, and Fantasy Draft, while he gets an A in points and a C in value on Yahoo. Kelce gets Patrick Mahomes back, and he seems due for some positive touchdown regression with 1.4 red zone targets per game, with no red zone catches or red zone touchdowns on the year. If you want to pay down and get stupid with it, let's go to OJ Howard in that matchup versus Arizona, in which there are again 28.3 implied points for Tampa Bay. Howard's 3 targets per game have been worthless, but in the plum match for tight ends with Arizona's 42% DVOA boost to the position, it's possible Howard comes back and has at least one good week after a season chock full of duds. And onto the defenses, Cleveland's defense at Buffalo grades out well for Awesemo with 18.5 implied points against Cleveland. Cleveland's price is cheap given how sloppy Josh Allen can get with the ball, and that gives them some upside, even though Devin Singletary may make their lives miserable this week. And there may be blood in this matchup because I'm going with the Buffalo defense as well at Cleveland in a game in which there are 21 implied points against Buffalo. Buffalo's price is down, and Baker Mayfield brings a 4.4% interception rate on the year, while Buffalo deflects 18% of opponent passes and seems due for some positive regression on both turnovers and sacks. So there you have it. That's how the NFL's Week 10 currently looks according to Awesemo'S NFL rankings. So right now, please hit that like button and comment your 2 touchdown boy down below. Last week, there were not a lot of correct guesses of the 2 touchdown boys, but one guy did shine through with his correct pick of Derrick Henry, and it's this guy right here, Marshall Swanson. So Marshall, email me at chris@awesemo.com to collect your prize. For everybody else, if you want to join Marshall at that free Awesemo Plus pay window, like the video and comment your 2 touchdown wide receiver, running back, or tight end down below. And we still have a lot of NFL season left. Did you get some data for yourself if you use this promo code SWITCHANDHEDGE for half off your first month of Awesemo Plus? Go to awesemo.com/join, use that promo code for half off, or find packages as low as $3.95 a week on there. So go to awesemo.com/join right now and find a package that works for you. Go follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'm doing content with no breaks today, so you know that means the followers mean a lot to me. So go check me out right now on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Spags. I'll be back tomorrow with On the Contrary, Sunday with Live Before Lock with my pal the Chups or Josh Engelman. So tune into both of those. Of course, I'll be back with you guys next week for all the stuff. So I'll see you guys again then. Hope you have a great weekend and NFL Week 10, and good luck.